A teen TikToker was killed outside a Southern California shopping mall. Like many teenagers, Nahsiyah Turner posted fun videos of herself dancing around on social media. Unlike most teens, she had over 300,000 followers on TikTok alone and tens of thousands more across multiple platforms. Known as Saya to her online fans, she showed her cheerful personality while doing typical teenage things like doing her hair.
But I'm thinking like a little top, bang, little action. It's kind of cute. I'm not like, I don't know what to say.
But on January 18th, Saya's family received tragic news. The Los Angeles Police Department says she was found unresponsive inside a car outside the Los Cerritos Center shopping mall. The medical examiner's report says she was shot in the chest and was pronounced dead at the hospital. Authorities do not have a motive or a suspect and are currently investigating. Nahsiyah Turner was 17 years old.
The story begins with a girl who, to thousands of people scrolling through their phones every day, felt familiar, like someone they knew, even if they had never met her in real life. Nahsiyah Turner, known to many as Sia, had built a small but powerful corner of the internet, where moments of laughter, confidence, and everyday life played out in short videos. Her presence wasn't just about trends or dances, it was about energy. The kind that made people pause for a few seconds longer than they planned to. In a world where attention is fleeting, she managed to hold it. Behind the screen, though, her life was still that of a teenager, balancing personal moments with a growing online identity. The phone camera would switch on, and instantly she became the version of herself that people had come to recognize. It's easy to forget how quickly something like that can grow, how a few clips can turn into a following, and how that following can begin to shape someone's daily routine. Notifications, comments, messages, they all become part of the rhythm of life. And for her, that rhythm seems steady, almost predictable. But stories like this often begin in a place that feels completely normal. A regular day, a familiar setting, nothing out of the ordinary. The kind of day that doesn't stand out, until suddenly it does. It's in those quiet, unnoticed moments that everything can shift without warning. If stories like this matter to you, don't forget to like and share so more people can hear them, because sometimes the smallest voices carry the biggest impact. As the day moved forward, there was no clear sign of what was about to unfold. No warning that would have made anyone stop or think twice. Just movement, time passing, and a sense of routine continuing as it always had. And then, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the tone begins to change. The shift didn't happen with a warning anyone could recognize. It came suddenly, cutting through the ordinary flow of the day in a way that left people confused before they were even able to understand what was going on. What had been a normal environment just moments earlier quickly turned into a scene filled with uncertainty. People nearby began reacting, not with clarity, but with instinct, trying to make sense of something that had unfolded too quickly for anyone to process in real time. In the middle of it all was Nahsiyah Turner, whose life, so visible and vibrant online, had now collided with a moment no one could have anticipated. There were no clear answers in those first few minutes, only fragments, movement, voices, confusion, and the growing realization that something serious had happened. Emergency responders were called, and the situation began to draw attention, not just from those nearby, but soon from far beyond that location. What stands out in moments like this isn't just what happened, but how quickly everything changes. 1 second, life is moving forward as expected. The next, it feels like time has been interrupted. People begin asking questions. What happened? Why did it happen? Who was involved? But in the immediate aftermath, answers are rarely available. Instead, there is only a heavy silence filled with uncertainty. As the situation developed, authorities stepped in, working to secure the area and understand what had taken place. Information was limited, and details came slowly, piece by piece, leaving space for speculation but little confirmed truth in those early stages. Subscribe to stay with us as we carefully follow this story, because what happens next isn't just about the moment itself, it's about the impact that follows. And as the initial shock began to settle, the focus started to shift from what had just happened to what it would mean for everyone connected to her. The news didn't spread all at once. It moved in waves, quietly at first, then all at once, reaching people who had followed Nahsiyah Turner for months, even years. At the beginning it was just confusion. A few posts, a few questions, people asking if what they were hearing was true. Social media, which had once been her space to share moments of joy, now became the place where uncertainty and worry began to grow. Friends and followers started revisiting her videos, scrolling back through clips that suddenly felt different. The same laughter, the same confidence, it was all still there, but now it carried a weight no one had expected. For many, it didn't feel real. How could someone so present online suddenly be absent? It's a question that doesn't have an easy answer, especially in a world where digital presence can make someone feel close, even from miles away. As confirmation began to emerge, the tone shifted. Messages of hope turned into messages of grief. Comments filled with disbelief gave way to tributes, memories, and expressions of loss. People who had never met her in person still felt connected, still felt the impact. That's the power, and sometimes the fragility, of online communities. They bring people together, but they also share in the pain when something goes wrong. Stories like this remind us why it's important to stay connected. So if you're here, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because awareness and reflection matter more than ever in moments like these. Beyond the screens, her family and close friends were facing something far deeper than what could be seen online. While the internet processed the news in posts and comments, they were dealing with the reality of loss in a way that words often can't fully capture. And as the world continued to react, one thing became clear. This story was no longer just about a moment. It was about the lasting impact it would leave behind. As the days passed, the focus slowly shifted from the shock of what had happened to the difficult process of understanding it. Investigators began piecing together the timeline, working carefully through the details that could bring clarity to a situation still filled with questions. With a case like this, answers don't come all at once. They come gradually, through patience, evidence, and time. And for many following the story of Nahsiyah Turner, that waiting became part of the emotional weight. Authorities confirmed what they could, but there were still gaps, parts of the story that remained unclear, leaving people searching for meaning in something that didn't seem to make sense. It's often in these moments that speculation tries to fill the silence, but the reality is that truth doesn't rush. It takes time to uncover, and sometimes even then, it doesn't answer every question people have. Beyond the investigation itself, the story began to spark broader conversations. People started reflecting on safety, on how quickly situations can change, and on the vulnerability that exists in everyday life. For young people especially, there's often a sense of invincibility, a belief that nothing this serious could happen to them. But stories like this challenge that belief, reminding everyone that life can be unpredictable in ways we don't always consider. If you've been following this story, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any updates, because every new detail matters in understanding the bigger picture. At the same time, the online world continued to hold on to her memory. Videos remained, comments continued to grow, and her presence, though no longer active, didn't disappear. It stayed, frozen in moments that people could revisit again and again. And while the investigation moved forward, one thing remained unchanged: the feeling that this story was still unfolding, and that its full meaning had yet to be understood. In the end, what remains isn't just the timeline of events or the unanswered questions. It's the memory of who she was to the people who knew her, and even to those who only knew her through a screen. Nahsiyah Turner was more than a moment in a headline. She was a presence, a personality, a collection of small, real moments that connected with people in ways that can't always be explained. And even though her story took a turn no one expected, those moments don't simply disappear. For many, the reflection becomes personal. It's a reminder of how quickly things can change, how fragile time really is, and how important it is to value the people and moments that often go unnoticed. The videos she shared, once just part of someone's daily scroll, now feel like snapshots of something more meaningful. They show a life in motion, a person expressing herself, leaving behind pieces of who she was without knowing how much they would one day matter. Her story also leaves behind questions that may take time to answer, and perhaps some that never fully will. But beyond those questions is something else, an impact that continues to ripple outward. From family and friends to followers and strangers, the effect of her life and her loss reaches further than anyone might have imagined at the start. If this story stayed with you, take a moment to like, share, and let others hear it too, because sometimes remembering is one of the most powerful things we can do. And as everything comes full circle, it's clear that while her story may have ended too soon, the connection she created didn't. It remains in the memories, in the voices of those who speak her name, and in the quiet understanding that even the briefest lives can leave a lasting mark.